I started Expedia about 10, 11 years ago as a startup, right? We bootstrapped from, at the time, 4 employees to now the 600 plus. So here's kind of 10 things that I learned from having a startup and kind of going through the process of that kind of beginning year to years. Number one, the main thing that I learned is cash is king, right? Profitability means very little in the beginning. You have to have money in your account. You have to be highly, highly capitalized, right? It's great to have a couple $100,000 when you're starting in receivables, but when payroll comes and none of that money's there, you're in trouble. So again, remember, cash trumps everything, right? Number two, this is probably the most common sense one, but hire for errors at your weekend. Right. A lot of times we just want to kind of bang our head and try to get through something because we don't think we should hire somebody for that when we realize that we're not strong in that area. That's when you need to bring somebody on for that, especially when you can afford it. Right. Number three, I think this is really cool. These are the top positions that I would hire if I had to do this all over again. Number one would be IT, right? Find a really cool, good programmer developer. Number two, I would hire a finance person, right, to make sure that the books are totally in order. And third, I would hire a content creator, right, so to document everything we're doing and start to create content. And that's basically hiring your first marketing person as well. And then, I would do the operations. Number four, going with the marketing theme, right, document everything. You're not going to be able to afford to go against the big boys when it comes to, paying for paid search. Right, you're not going to be able to afford the keywords that you're going to need to really trend for at the beginning. So use content as your weapon. Document everything. Things that you think are boring, I guarantee somebody thinks are really interesting. That's how you can get your name out there. Right now, when you're first starting, brand is just as important as sales. Number five, sit with your employees and come up with a culture statement. You can't afford to make poor hires based on poor culture right at the beginning. For example, ours is attitude and effort. We hire everyone off of you must have a great attitude and you must be willing to give effort, right? And we found some ways that we can hire off of that. Think about what's important to you. Make sure you're all on the same page. Get your first employees to buy into that as well. Number six, did I say you need cash, right? Because you do, right? Again, that's on there twice. You know how important it is. Number seven, a lot of companies think that they're going to be able to get a line of credit, that they're going to have access to capital. I promise you, unless you are crazy, you have a crazy allotment of money, right? Which you probably wouldn't even need a line of credit. No bank is going to give you a line of credit. You're going to have to go and maybe look somewhere online for some crazy, awful interest rate. So again, remember that when you're first starting. One of the things that really helped us was being able to factor our receivables, right? Factoring your receivables basically means that you have an organization that fronts you the money. When your receivable comes in, then you pay them, a percentage of that. So normally we could factor up to like 96% of our invoice. When that money came in, we would give them, 4%. Sometimes it was 2%. It just depends on the length of it. Sometimes you can get it down to about 1% or even less than 1%. So if your clients are paying pretty much on time, maybe a net 15. That's the other thing too. All of our clients, we try to get them at a net 15 in the contact center industry, understanding that we're paying weekly. We've had a lot of success with that. Even if it's a net 30, we're trying to do it where we're billing on the 1st and the 15th and net 30. So that everything's kind of coming in 15 days. Again, it's very expensive when you have such a high payroll, right? To make sure that we're staying up with it. That's just kind of another strategy. Make sure that you don't stay away from, like trying to get a net 45, those kind of things that can really hurt you. Policies, right? Really, really important. Make sure that you are documenting every single policy that you have, that they are written, that they're in some type of book or some type of online pamphlet to make sure that you are understanding that all of the policies that your company's having, they're not just kind of things that you're coming up with, but when you have something, put it in stone, make sure that everybody really understands it, make sure that it's written. Number 9 is outsource what you can at the beginning. HR is a really good thing to outsource, especially when you don't have a lot of employees. You're not going to want to hire somebody to have them there full time, right? But you can have a HR person that can still work for you, help you with policies, help you with any issues, help you with hiring, but they're not a full-time person. And last but not least, don't screw up your books. If you don't know how to do the accounting piece of it, if you don't know how to do transactions every single day and stay on top of it, then make sure that you're bringing somebody in or you're outsourcing that to somebody else, right? At the beginning, right, you're not going to make a lot of money, but you got to know if you're winning or losing, and you got to know how your cash flow is, right? That's the most important. So again, those are my my top 10 tips and things that I've kind of learned starting with a startup, and progressing now to I guess a pretty cool business.